You open your laptop to finish one task. Within minutes, several other things appear. An email notification, a message on your phone, a new tab with more information, another article to read. Soon your attention feels scattered. You try to process everything, but the more information arrives, the harder it becomes to think clearly. Eventually, your brain feels tired, slow, overwhelmed. This experience is known as cognitive overload. But what exactly happens inside the brain when this occurs? Why does too much information make thinking more difficult? To understand this, we need to look at one of the brain's most important cognitive systems. Working memory. Working memory is the brain's short-term information workspace. It allows you to temporarily hold and manipulate information while performing a task. For example, when solving a problem, reading complex material, or following instructions, working memory keeps the relevant information active. This system is largely coordinated by the prefrontal cortex, which manages attention and goal-directed thinking. But here's where it gets interesting. Working memory has very limited capacity. Most people can actively hold only a small number of pieces of information at the same time, often around 3 to 5 meaningful items. When information exceeds that limit, the brain begins struggling to maintain clarity. And this leads to an unexpected effect. New information starts competing for limited mental resources. The brain must constantly decide what to keep in working memory and what to discard. This decision process increases neural activity in attention control networks. But the brain doesn't stop there. When too many signals compete for attention, the brain begins experiencing interference. Interference occurs when multiple pieces of information disrupt each other's processing. For example, trying to remember a phone number while reading a message may cause both pieces of information to become unstable. Neural networks struggle to maintain multiple patterns simultaneously. And the brain does something even more fascinating. As cognitive load increases, the brain begins recruiting additional neural circuits to maintain performance. This requires more metabolic energy, more glucose, more oxygen. But neural systems have limits. Eventually, the brain begins reducing efficiency. Attention weakens, decision-making slows, errors become more likely. This is the biological experience of mental overload. But from an evolutionary perspective, this limitation makes sense. The human brain evolved in environments where information arrived at a slower pace. Most signals were relevant to survival. Tracking movement, recognizing faces, observing the environment. The brain did not evolve to process constant streams of digital information. Emails, notifications, news feeds, continuous updates. Modern environments expose the brain to far more information than it was originally designed to process simultaneously, and the brain must constantly filter and prioritize these signals. Once you understand this mechanism, something important becomes clear. Cognitive overload is not a personal failure. It is a natural response of the brain to excessive information demands. Your brain is designed to process information selectively, not endlessly.
By the way, if you're interested in understanding how the brain and body actually work, this channel explores the science behind those systems. Many everyday experiences become easier to understand when we examine the biological mechanisms behind them. And cognitive overload is one of the clearest examples. Your brain is powerful, but its ability to think clearly depends on how information is managed. Vera explains the science behind how the human system works. Subscribe if you're curious about the biology of being human.